after I finished the last video, just came to me that I'm putting the camera and the controls in the master, which means when I create a child for monsters and other stuff, this stuff is also going to be in there. So what I'm going to do actually is Control X everything, save it, remove the spring arm too, and I'm going to open the player and do that functionality here. Sorry for that. It was just a mistake on my end. So put the spring arm again, camera. Make sure that we rotate this to be facing the front of the character. Move up. And we're going to go to event grab. Just paste this thing there. Well, this should be the same. Just make sure that we go begin play. Compile, save. And if I did everything correct, oops, it's not working because I did set up the player. The reason why is because on my gameplay, I actually need to change the default one here to be the player. Compile, save. I'm sorry for that again, folks. And everything should be correctly set up now. But that's important that you see sometimes when making mistakes, because I finished the video, I was like, oh wait, if I do this every time I spawn a monster and I move, it's gonna move everything like the Michael Jackson music video, Thriller, everyone doing the same movement together, and that's not really what we want to do. Sweet, so now we need to set up the actual first part of the movement, like when you play the flipbook to either direction. And that needs to be in the master, actually. I was going to say it's going to be player, but that's not the case. Because every creature, every NPC is going to have different directions they're going to move in. They're going to have the flipbook changing. If I put only on the player is going to update the direction of the flipbook. So I need to do in the masters, the player is inheriting. And what I need to do, select the higher level. I'm going to scroll down. I'm looking for orient. That's going to be in character movement. Man, some of this menus are so long sometimes. Oh my god. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm just gonna type a search here. So orient rotation to the movement, which is what we want. And because we are using just a keyboard, if you look for yaw, we're gonna say not to use the control yaw rotation. Compile, save. So if you want to test it, what you can do is just go here, add, oops, sphere. Make that sphere tiny. And move that in the direction of the character arrow. So save it. And if I press play, you can see as I'm rotating, it's also rotating the world. Oh my god. So that's a mistake that we need to fix. Although this is kind of cool. Maybe you want to have a game that operates this way. So I'm going to escape key, open back this. Luckily for us, everything is like super confusing to set up, but this is pretty straightforward. If you go to sprite and you see the rotation is like this, you can just say world and that will fix it. So the rotation is not affecting the worlds. And if I do this, whoops, what have I done wrong? You shouldn't. Oops, I put absolute. Wait, what? You know what? I think it's because we are setting this up in the master. I also need to go here and set the same thing here. And I hope that this will fix the issue. We're also going to have to pause and troubleshoot. Yeah, there you go. Now I can move in every direction. I'm no longer having that issue. But my sphere still showing. It's not really what I wanted. So what exactly is happening here? I'm gonna compile, save. I'm gonna add the sphere here. Honestly, I think the issue was it was a child of sprite. So just gonna go here and put all the way in the top. Let's see if this will fix the issue. Try and error sometimes, folks. In dev is not easy. So I put it there and I press play. Hey, look at that. It looks like a mage. So now it's working. So yeah, the mistake was that I made a child of the sprite, so it's literally moving with the sprite. We can see the movement changing because the sprite's not changing, but that's essentially what it is. It does have a delay that the target is moving. Maybe you don't want that delay. So what we need to do is just change the rotation speed of that, which is very straightforward. But actually, I want to see after how this looks like, but I'm going to show to you where it is in the rotation character movement rate. That is saying 360. What if I do 3600? Compile, save. It's just going to rotate fast. It's going to snap a little bit. But maybe we should try after seeing what exactly looks like with the actual animation, if it makes any difference. Probably won't, because we only have 4 axes of animation, to be honest. But yeah, if by any chance you have 8 axes or more, that's what essentially where you would put that. So yeah, that looks pretty cool. So now that we did this, I think let's continue in the next video on actually setting up the direction. And after we do that, again, let's try to push down the character a little bit so it's connected to the floor. As a matter of fact, like, why don't we do this right now, actually? So I'm just going to go to the front or the right or left. There you go. And I just need to move this down to the base of the capsule. That's it. And this one here should update. So if I go left, it should be the same thing. Yeah, it's the base of the capsule. That might fix this issue, hopefully. And there you go, it did. There's still a tiny, tiny gap there. It doesn't bother me because the camera's going to be a little bit further away. But if you need it, just move 1 extra centimeter down, and this is going to be perfect. So next, let's finally do the movement. So you might be asking, outside setting up the characters that we're using with the animation source, this next step is another reason why we're using Paper 3D instead of using the vanilla Paper 2D tools inside Unreal to do this. So what we're going to be doing is creating an animation blueprint. So I'm going to go to my Paper 3D animation blueprint, and I'm going to pick which character I'm going to use it, and that's the player hero. So ABP for animation blueprint, player hero. Save it and double click. So in order to explain to you what essentially this does, I'm going to go to my animation graph, and the animation blueprint is something that you can use in 3D with 3D characters and animation clips and skeletal meshes. And essentially, Paper ZD uses that system to play and to make it easier for us to set up animation cycles, interactions between them for 2D sprites. That's why this tool is so powerful. It's really helpful. You can do the same thing without it, but this just speeds up the process. If you need to read a little bit, I'm going to add this link to the resources. And this is essentially a whole page talking about state machines, which is what we're going to be using, which is the tool that allows us to cycle between different animations, right? In this case, here, it's talking about 3D animations, but we're going to be using this for 2D animations. So let's just go ahead and create a state machine. So right click, state machine, and you can just name this movement. And you just connect the running guy to the result. Ctrl-Shift-S, and let's double click and go inside the state machine graph. So the first thing we need to do here is create 2 animation states. And what I mean by this is when the character is not doing anything, it's going to be on idle. And when I press the directional button, it's going to be on the walk. So I'm going to push here. There's only 2 options. The first one is going to be animation state. I'm going to, go back and rename it to idle. Then I'm going to pull another one, animation state. Click on it, walk. Now that I did this, I'm going to double click in my idle, and I'm going to push, whoa, that was a weird glitch. For results, play, which animation that I want. I have walk, idle, and that, so this one I want is idle. And if you're asking how does it know what this is coming from, it's because we set up the oh no, don't move folders. Oh my god, my mouse is acting up. So we set up this before when we create this animation source. So it's essentially reading that. Okay, so idle is there. Go back, go to walk, push here, play, walk. Ctrl-Shift-S before we crash anything. Compile, save again. All right, so let's go back to movement. And here, in between these two, I need to set up the logic that's going to be pulling this. So this idle to walk is something that we can click. It's another subgraph. And essentially what I need to tell Unreal is, based on the velocity, based on the movement, the displacement in X, Y, and Z, shift from idle to the walking animation of my choice. So I'm going to do that right now. So let's go get only actor. And that's a selection from PaperZD. Essentially is telling me the actor that is using this, Gagged, get the velocity that this actor has. So just go get velocity. But just the velocity is not enough. What it translates. So we need to get also the length of that. Whoops, did I type wrong? And that's going to be the vector length. And if that length is greater than 0, which means it didn't move 1 unit in Unreal in any axis here. But if it did, I want to play the actual animation. So I'm going to pull here and say this, which is the greater of. So it's greater than 0. Play the animation. Notice that everything inside Unreal is color coded, right? The blue is an integer. You can see that the yellow, I think, is a vector. Yeah, yellow is a vector. Let me delete this. And the red is a Boolean. Okay, so this is going to make sense in a second because we're doing this from idle to run. So we're going to compile, save. Then now I'm going to go back to movement and I'm going to put from walk to idle. Oopsie. Oop, why is it not plugging how I want? There you go, create transition. It's very finicky. I kind of sometimes mess up with where I play with this. You need to really put into the black box around it. So now I have another one that I can double click and I can just paste here, but now I'm doing the opposite, right? Instead of doing from idle to run, I'm doing the opposite. So if I just go here and say not Boolean, essentially resulting in not that, the opposite, and I connect here, now I have the run to idle. Let's go back really quick to the movement, and if you hover your mouse, you can actually see that logic being displayed there. Sweet. Save this. Next step that we need to do is go to set up this animations to be played on. So I'm going to go back to my anim graph. In between these two, I need to get the direction. So just type direction. You're going to see set directionality. You can just clock this thing here, connect there. And it has two axes, X and Y. So in order to connect this, I'm going to have to first split because I need to have something X and something Y. I cannot, if I Ctrl Z, I can just not put like one input for commanding two things. Oops, I didn't want to do that. So let's delete this. So I'm going to split that. And what I'm looking for is get owning actor. We used this node before. Essentially means whatever this is possessed, the return value that we want is get the actor forward movement. So the forward vector of it. That only has one coming out. So we're going to go here and split again. For the X, we can connect here. And you might be pressed to maybe just do this. But there's an issue here. Because this is XYZ and this is XY, this is a 2D plane, this is a 3D plane. So essentially what we need to do is to just have this in the first, 1 minus is essentially negative value to connect to input. So the best way to do this, because we don't have a 1 minus like we have in our material, okay? So you can just multiply this by something. So I'm going to go here and multiply, and that, if I multiply by 0 is 0, but if I multiply by -1 is the opposite value. So just simple math, we can get that stuff set up very easily. I'm going to try to organize a little bit better, and that is good. So we're going to save it, but this is enough for the logic, but we still need to tell our character to have this attached to it. So we're going to go to our blueprint, our hero, and you're going to see here there is something called animation component. And that's the one that we want to play with. So we're gonna go here and say ABP player hero, compile, save. And if I did everything correctly, which I think I did, let's figure out. Let's press play. Hey, look at that. Now it's doing exactly what we wanted. Before we wrap the character setup, one of the things I want to do is just change the distance of the camera to the character. And also I want to show to you this. I'm gonna really quickly go to my art folder, maybe inside my castle kit. So I'm looking for arch that we used before. Fantasy kit, maybe. The reason why I'm looking for this is because I'm gonna just build one really quick here. By default, our camera, whenever intersecting with something, if I do something like this, it's gonna make a lot of sense in a second, so just bear with me. So if I ever walk underneath it, you can see when I'm behind something, the camera's just gonna snap. And we wanted to avoid that. It's not really what we want. And we also want the camera to be a little bit further away. So let's fix that. So we're gonna go back to my blueprint, characters, player hero. I'm looking for the spring arm. And the target arm length, that's where we change it. So I'm gonna put 800. I'm gonna compile save, press play. Sounds like a bigger distance, but you can see that happens again. So let's open that again. And what I need to do is very straightforward. If you go to your camera collision, you can just disable do collision test, compile save, and that should get rid of that issue. So now I can go behind without the camera really truly changing. Another thing that I want to flag too is that this blueprint is supposed to be a child. So right click, create child blueprint class, but for some reason I haven't done that before. It's not going to be an issue, but while I was editing the video, I noticed that. So what I did, I just created a blueprint class and I just transferred to this blueprint class all the logic we had the other one. So if you notice this is like parent begin play, that's because of that. So yeah. Next, let's do some other villains, some creatures and monsters.